welcome to Warren Thornton on Patreon. Hello and welcome to the show. We are pleased to welcome with us tonight former UK ambassador to the Middle East, various countries as well, and a big player in the Workers' Party of Great Britain, Peter Ford. Good evening, Peter. How the devil are you?
Good evening, Warren. I'm fine and raring to go. There is so much good news to choose from.
Absolutely. I think the very first thing probably that we need to talk about is this. So we have a fair few ships that have tried to transit the Straits of Hormuz. We've got about 8 and 9 of them have so far sort of, shall we say, bitten the dust, trying to get through the Straits of Hormuz. And of course, the wonderful Pete Hegseth has come out and said this.
The only thing prohibiting transit in the Straits right now is Iran shooting at shipping. It is open for transit should Iran not do that. Now, there's a reason why we chose, as one of our primary objectives, destroy the Navy. We understood the ability to interdict shipping is something Iran has done for 40 years. It's key terrain. They've used it as leverage. The world is seeing what they'll do to fight back in that context. And so we've heard them talk about taking various measures, and we're planning for all of them. So we have a plan for every option here. We're working with our interagency partners, and that's not a strait we're going to allow to remain contested or with a lack of flow of commercial goods. So we're aware of that. We're laser focused on our military objectives, but also want to make sure our partners across this government understand we're working.
So there we are. There, of course, is the wonderful Secretary for War, Pete Hegseth, telling everybody, being a bit of a Sherlock Holmes there, Peter, saying that, of course, the Straits of Hormuz are not closed. Indeed, they're well open, but the only problem we have is that Iran are bombing everything that goes through there. Absolutely brilliant, isn't it, Peter?
You know who that guy, Pete Hegseth, reminds me of? You remember Comical Ali, the spokesman of Saddam Hussein?
Yes.
This is Comical Pete. I mean, he's a comedy turn, this guy. He's absolutely wonderful. He's a parody of Trump and Trumpism. He just gave us some crashing glimpses of the blindingly obvious. The man is floundering like the clown that he is. He should go back to CNN or wherever he came from.
It is quite staggering, isn't it? Because, of course, the nonsense that he's come out with, and, of course, many people are sort of looking at him and going, what on earth are you talking about? He's not the only one, though. Besant's another one. I'll let people in a while, Nilis. I just want to get...
It is my belief that as soon as it is militarily possible, the U.S. Navy, and perhaps with an international coalition, will be escorting vessels through.
And that came up just now in the Situation Room.
Your words, not mine.
Are
we
days away from that?
We've been planning for this. We've done scenario analysis for months, for weeks. leading into this. So,
but it's a prospect in the coming days then.
It is a prospect as soon as we have complete control of the skies and are degrading they have no Air Force. The Navy is sunk, literally and figuratively.
The absolute lunacy and the lies that were coming out from him there. First of all, absolutely nobody is saying that they're going to put boats across the water. And of course, this happened during the course of this. He got called to the White House, Peter.
I listened to you on the...
The president wants you. Sorry, the president wants you very much.
Oh, okay. Okay, no problem at all. See you shortly, Mr. Secretary.
You can work that in.
Mr. Secretary, I have to say, it's a first, I'm sure a last as well, that an interviewee's been pulled away to go to the Situation Room. How was the president? Was he stressed?
No, the president is in great spirits. The Iranian mission is proceeding well ahead of schedule.
There we go, Peter. So what do you read from all of that? Getting called away halfway through an interview sounds very much like they were listening in while that was happening. And the nonsense that is surrounding this so-called international coalition that is going to sail through the Strait of Hormuz with the USA.
Well, they're obviously at panic stations. I mean, him being called out of an important live interview just speaks volumes. They don't know what to do. They're floundering, absolutely floundering. Talk of an international coalition. Well, at the moment, it's a coalition of one. They haven't got anybody else to sign up to it. No doubt they can press gang the British, who might send, well, let's see what we got. Maybe a trawler. Maybe we've got a decommissioned trawler that can be pressed into action. It will only take 2 months to get there. International coalition nonsense. Anyway, Iran has said that they will welcome having new targets to aim at. Nothing they'd like better than to hit a few American warships, which wouldn't be that difficult.
No, it is quite crazy. Nilis, you wanted to say something on this? Nilis? Oh,
sorry, but
yeah,
that's my.
I
think Lloyd's of London have refused to insure these ships. So I suppose these ones that have just been attacked must have been encouraged by the Americans. And has the Americans insured? Because I know Trump said he was going to insure ships. I don't know if that bill has gone through yet, but presumably the ship owners will be able to get compensation from the American government.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them already. Louis Bastos and then Sean Murphy.
Good morning, Warren. Good evening, sir. How can America ask for coalition if they've taken all the weapons from their NATO allies?
It is going to be interesting to see how they get round that one, isn't it? I've got to say. Great point. Sean Murphy.
Well, Warren, I think it would be, it's going to be a great situation for any Iranian maritime salvage companies in the hopefully the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's all the bases that they can choose from. And as you can see, the Straits of Hormuz, there's been about 8 or 9 ships that have been hit there already. One of them was a British tanker, Peter, where they were using a tugboat to bring it through, hoping that if they didn't turn their engines on, that nobody would thought that the tugboat was going to take it through. Not only did they whack the ship that was being towed through, they whacked the tugboat as well. We're not too bright, are we? When we're told the Straits of Hormuz is closed, it's almost as though we refuse to believe it.
Well, it gets more and more absurd when you look into it. You know, there are some tankers getting through, and you know who they belong to? Iran. Iran.
Yes.
And America is not trying to stop this happening because they need as much oil as possible to get onto international markets to try to damp down the price spikes. Also, the Americans have refrained from hitting Iranian refineries. Why? For the same reason that they need every ounce of oil that's possible to get through onto international markets. They have bombed Iranian storage, oil storage, but that's for domestic use inside Iran. But the refineries are untouched. So America you know what film this all reminds me of? That Christmas special, Home Alone, yeah, where the weak kid gets attacked by these two gangsters. That would be Comical Pete and Trump, his boss, who fall into more and more traps set by this smart youngster, and it doesn't end well for the gangsters.
No, it doesn't. And of course, we've got Dan Kane, who's come out with this.
I'm not familiar with the Fort Campbell thing. The strikes that Iran has taken on shipping up north in the vicinity of Kuwait have been, I believe, from surface to surface missiles up there. We've not seen any USV activity out of Iran that we've seen in the Gulf at this point.
Nor have any ships hit mines or anything.
Yeah, there's
like
been
that.
no.
It's still flowing through
you.
the.
There's
strait.
been no strikes that we.
One more time, right?
Still flowing through, Pete. It is quite remarkable that they're coming out with, first of all, this nonsense. And he's absolutely right. But they are patrolling, and they have an absolute plethora. Around about 3,500, I am now fully informed that there are around 3,500 of these fast boats that have been built that are literally speedboats that are made to carry either missiles that they can fire across the air, or there are another 650 that have the capacity to launch a marine, shall we say, missile, or shall we say, a torpedo through the sea. So it is quite staggering, Peter, isn't it? That they've hit the Navy, which have never even left the moorings. They've all stayed there, and they've kept their Navy and everything, and these boats pretty much underground, and are just waiting for the Gerald R. Ford, the Abraham Lincoln, or the George Bush to get there.
Exactly, Warren. I mean, this is what asymmetric warfare looks like. Asymmetric warfare, where one side appears to be immensely more powerful than the other, but the other is clever and small and uses low technology, cheap technology, and manages to engage successfully in battle with the much larger adversary. Asymmetric warfare. Yes. Iran are masters at asymmetric warfare. They use these low technology speedboats, which can be absolutely lethal, especially when used in numbers. They're using tactics, old-fashioned tactics, like using decoys. Many of the targets the Americans think they've taken out are just paintings on tarmac.
Yes, yeah, quite incredible, isn't it? And of course, the Chinese lent them a whole lot of these inflatable tanks and inflatable aeroplanes that they put up, blowing up balloons at the moment with very, very expensive rockets. Nicholas?
Well, I was just going to say to Peter that Warren told us on, I think it was the beginning of the week, that 2 Iranian tankers were attacked by the Americans.
Yeah.
But the Iranians turned around and said, because you attacked 2 of our tankers, we're going to make sure, even if there's peace, we're going to keep the straits closed for 2 weeks. Yeah. So every one of the tankers that's attacked, they're going to make sure it's closed for another week.
It does sound absolutely crazy. And here's something that is, I suppose, really, really troubling when it comes to this. The Abraham Lincoln has sailed away again, Peter. It sailed to within 300 nautical miles, came under, shall we say, a fishing expedition from a couple of drones, and has now sailed away again. This is meant to be the fantastic, the aircraft carrier, the battleship, and everything else. And obviously they've got other ships around it. If they've wiped out and they've degraded 90% of everything that Iran is meant to fire, how comes the big aircraft carrier with all these defensive missiles and vessels as well is scuttling away again?
Exactly, Warren. They are lying through their teeth. They simply haven't a clue how much of Iran's capability they've taken out. We haven't heard anything about Iran's hypersonic missiles. I suspect these are being kept in reserve. And let's bear in mind that Iran, Iran announced this, it's an open secret. They have been using, in these early phases, their old missiles, not the new generation missiles, ballistic missiles and hypersonic. So they've been using the old missile to mop up the defensive missiles, vastly more expensive, that the Americans and the Israelis and the Gulf countries have been using and have now depleted their stocks. So a moment is likely to come when the Iranians will unleash their more modern array of missiles.
Yes.
And that will be something to see. So no doubt the Americans are moving away their cumbersome battleships. Maybe they're afraid that they'll run into each other like their planes do.
Yeah, and of course we know that not to be the case, and we'll get into that in a second. Just to let you know, by the way, that if you are watching and you didn't see this morning's program, there's the number of tankers that have been taken out all around the Straits of Hormuz. As you can see, there's a significant amount, and every time they try and push one through, we get a bit of a problem. The propaganda is off the charts. We understand that the Israelis, we have this, the Israelis are dropping leaflets saying, rise up and overthrow your government, because obviously they don't want to put boots on the ground unless there is lots of people trying to overthrow the government, which there's not. And of course, the USA is putting out pleas because Israel's intelligence inside has been shut down, offering rewards if they can target the Revolutionary Guard and everybody else for them, and the IRGC key leaders. No doubt they'll have a pack of cards with all the names on sooner or later, Peter. The problem being that their original rise up was a bit too early because the Israelis and the US weren't ready to go. And since then, they've managed to find all these people inside Iran who were doing this. And of course, the people that were trying to overthrow the government from the inside, they've either arrested or killed them. And of course, they've got nobody left inside now. The Kurds don't want to know. I mean, you know this area really well. The Kurds don't want to know. The people from Baluchistan, down the poorer people down the bottom of that area, they don't want to know either. The USA are struggling to find a complicit group to go in for them, Peter.
Well, this business about regime change is an embarrassment to the Americans. It's more or less disappeared from their narrative. It was strong right at the beginning, you'll recall, and they may even have believed it themselves, yes. Misled by the success of the Mossad-inspired uprising, as they called it, a couple of months ago. But they deceived themselves if they thought that there were going to be mass uprisings sparked by Iran coming under attack from outside. I mean, how stupid can you get? The wishful thinking has been absolutely immense on the American-Israeli part. They deceived themselves, and it's not going to happen now. Clearly, the Iranian authorities have things more or less under control. The Kurds, as you mentioned, are not going to be stupid enough as let themselves be mown down like Zulus facing the machine guns, which is more or less what happened to the Shia in northern Iraq in the 1990 conflict. The Americans encouraged the Shia at that time, after the invasion of Kuwait. They encouraged the Shia to rise up, which they did, and they were mown down. There will be memories in the area of exactly what happened, and the more responsible Kurdish leaders are not going to expose themselves to that, and certainly not the Kurds in northern Iraq today, who are in a very comfortable position that they don't want to upset. So regime change, forget about it. That is off the board. That is not even worth discussing. And in fact, every one of the stated objectives of the Americans is a failure. Everything they've mentioned, they have failed to achieve. Regime change, off the board. They were going to denuclearize Iran. What's happened there? We don't even hear the Americans boasting about taking out nuclear facilities. That's off the board as well. Indeed, if anything, the Iranians are punching back on that one, letting it be known that when this is all over, they will have nothing more to do with international inspections or anything else. So the Americans have succeeded in going backwards. Similarly, they think they've decapitated the leadership, and they've managed to replace Khamenei, the old, doddering, relatively moderate Khamenei, with apparently with a younger, more vigorous, and now more revenge-minded, younger version of Khamenei. So again, epic fury, epic disaster, and they think they've declawed Iran, removed its weaponry. Well, every day that passes provides more evidence that that is simply not the case, and Iran still has plenty of weaponry. So on every front, the Americans are failing, and on top of that, they brought on themselves a world economic collapse.
Yes, and on top of that, I mean, when you go after the new Ayatollah, and we can tell you that he is injured, but he is alive. They did, as we reported quite a while back, his wife and child, his wife and sister were killed, and he was injured in the US-Israeli strike. I mean, this is bordering on madness, isn't it, Peter? We don't like the choice you've made, so we'll kill them.
It is madness, and they're grasping at straws. Now they're saying that he's disfigured and in hiding. It just the gesturing of a panicky America. They don't know which way to turn because they failed on every front. And in fact, the Iranians are being very smart, keeping their leader in a kind of purdah. There is a strong tradition in Shia Islam of hiding the leader. This is the religion, the sect of the hidden imam, the imam who will come at the end of time and sort everything out, the 13th imam. So the fact that they're keeping their new leader under wraps chimes with Shia ideology, and for them is an empowering thing. It's also frustrating the hell out of the Americans, because how can they demonize the new leader in the way that they demonized Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein or Assad when the guy is nowhere to be seen? In fact, the Iranians have benefited in the information war precisely by not having a figurehead in the first 2 weeks of this war. So the Americans have not been able to deploy their usual information warfare technique of demonizing the leader.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's where we have a problem, I think. And Peter, you were an ambassador there, so you know the people. You've got many friends in that area. The Americans just don't understand the Middle East at all, do they?
I'm not sure they want to understand. They have no humility. They think they're so powerful. They don't need international law. They don't need scholarship. They don't need to understand. They can just lay down the law themselves. Their power has gone to their heads. This is what happens in the dying throes of empire. They go mad. Rome had its Caligula. Trump is the American Caligula, the mad emperor who thinks he can command the world.
Yeah, it does seem a really bizarre and very strange thing that they're sort of putting out at the moment. And
could I add, Warren, that they also see the Middle East exclusively through the Israeli lens.
Yeah,
they get all their so-called intelligence from Mossad. So inevitably, they get a warped view of the Middle East. They are absolutely incapable of empathy, of understanding that an Arab or a country or Iran might have a different viewpoint. They only see things from an Israeli standpoint. And no wonder, because they are themselves Israelis. Half of Trump's cabinet are dual citizens, or it could be. It is Israel's second cabinet. Trump is just a figurehead for them.
Yes, yeah, very much so. And we've sort of touched on that point quite a lot. And I think you're absolutely right. We covered the Navy. Let's cover the Air Force, because two tankers are said to have collided with each other. And of course, it's always down to a collision. Nothing is ever taken out of the air when they collide. Now, very, very simply, we have friends who are very, very close to this thing. There's the actual tail, as you can see, the vertical stabilizer of the second tanker. And as you can see, that's taken quite a bit of damage. Now that is shrapnel damage, and people are saying, oh, well, they collided and all the rest of it. And then they tried to say that 4 people were dead. If you were with us earlier on, we told you that the entire crew was killed, and they were trying to cover it up by saying a couple of people had survived and all the rest of it. It is absolute nonsense. We can absolutely confirm from our Pentagon source. We've got it from the Iraqis, but we've also got it from our Pentagon source that the reason for taking out that plane was a 359 surface-to-air missile. And that is what blew up the refueling plane, and literally the damage from that broke off the vertical section, the vertical stabilizer of the other plane, that then made an emergency landing at Ben Gurion Airport. Peter, we've had a lot of planes that have crashed into each other or suddenly been taken down by friendly fire. Are you buying that?
Well, I don't buy anything at all in what the Americans say. I mean, they've taken lying to the nth level. Whereas the Iranians, as a matter of information warfare strategy, have developed a reputation for telling the truth about their losses as well as their achievements. And you'll notice they've been very restrained in making claims about their heavy hits.
Yes.
This was the same and always has been with Hezbollah as well. It's been a notable fact that they don't lie, because they know that it's in their self-interest to have credibility. It helps their own morale, and people believe them, have more faith in them. Who could have faith in the commander-in-chief of the US forces, a proven liar who appoints Comical Pete to lie for him? No, they even continue to try to lie about killing the schoolgirls. I mean, that is really, how low can you stoop? They refuse to acknowledge what the whole world knows. They have absolutely no humility or grace or humanity. And it does them no good. Iran is winning the information war, the world information war, hands down. The entire world outside America, and then, even then, only as a small part of America, the whole world knows the Americans are behaving disgracefully.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And just while we're touching on the schoolgirls, because of course the schools minister, of course, is a big fan of, shall we say, the taking money from the Jewish lobby. The other thing that would be very, very interesting for people to know is that everything that we've been saying on this subject about the deaths of the schoolgirl has now been confirmed also by Al Jazeera. So we made a contention the very first day of the strikes, thanks to our wonderful sources, that the Americans had used a Tomahawk, that there was a double tap, that the British had launched a plane from Akrotiri Air Base to help do the targeting. We even gave the two, shall we say, the two call signs for those planes. They were in the air for 52 minutes. There were 37 minutes between the strikes. And of course, we pointed out very, very simply that if the Israelis can fly a missile through the side of an apartment building and just kill the person in that apartment and whoever's in that apartment with him and not take out the rest. We showed you a map as well of the Google of the school, which showed that they had painted murals, a wall. There was over 500 yards, close on 600 yards between the two areas. And of course, that they targeted it deliberately, that Israel had supplied it. And Al Jazeera have not only had their own sources confirm that, but they've also had a Pentagon source confirm it as well. So everything that we've been saying, that Israel gave them the intel, and it wasn't intel, bad intel from a while ago, because there'd been a school there for 9 years on that base. And of course, the whole idea was to take out IRGC commanders and hope that they would turn over in some strange way, rather like the Ayatollah with killing them. So the children were deliberately targeted, Peter, and now we've got people trying to scurry away from this in all directions.
Well, that's very interesting, Warren. I don't have any inside information myself, but I find it entirely credible. And the fact that the Americans are being so slow to come forward with an investigation speaks volumes in itself. Even the Israelis, like in Gaza, when they did things like this, after a couple of days, they said, "Oh, sorry, mistake. It happens, not our fault." But they put their hand up. So there's something more going on here with this incident.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we'll keep you abreast of that if people start telling the truth. But the idea that Donald Trump or somebody didn't know, every single leader of literally Macron, Merz, everybody knew the day the attack was going to be carried out. They didn't know at what, but they knew the day it was going to be carried out. And we had planes up in the sky all the time. And of course, we've shown you pictures from Akrotiri Air Base. We've named the actual, we've actually named the flights that took place, 52 minutes, 37. You're going to tell me that you can fly a missile through a window in an apartment, but you can't tell 150 kids going into a school with murals painted all over the walls. And as they're being led out of that school to safety, they hit them again. You had no idea that there were children there. Honestly, you must think we're completely stupid. And of course, we'll keep you abreast of any more developments to do with that. something else. And I'm going to show you a little video on this. This is how Palantir do targeting. Have a little look at this.
This is Maven Smart System, Palantir's software as a service product that we are deploying across the entire department. As you can see, it's not just one data feed, it's multiple. And instead of having 8 or 9 systems for those decision makers to look at every single day in order for them to make decisions, you then fuse it into a single visualization tool. The single visualization tool allows you to select, deselect different types of data, look at different approaches to data, but more importantly, action from the same system that you're trying to develop your workflows around. Once you have a detection that you want to actually move into a targeting workflow, for example, this is what we do. Left click, right click, left click, magically, it becomes a detection. That detection then gets moved into a workflow. This is standard digitized workflow, but I want to walk you through it quickly. You have different types of targets that are identified on the left there. Every single column produces a different type of decision-making process. Once you have that decision and you're trying to actually action that process, we now move into COA generation, course of action generation, where we are automatically, via a number of factors, trying to identify what the best asset to prosecute a target looks like. Once we've got the different approaches and we select one, we then can move directly into how do we action that target. So we've gone from identifying the target to now coming up with a course of action to now actioning that target, all from one system. This is revolutionary. We were having this done in about 8 or 9 systems where humans were literally moving detections left and right in order to get to our desired end state, in this case, actually closing a kill chain.
Now that is very, very troubling, Peter, when you start handing over the systems to literally to the system to make the decision whether or not to hit something.
Well, indeed, and this excessive love of technology is going to be America's ruin. They think war is a video game. Almost literally, we've seen the propaganda coming out of the White House on the same day that there are all these reports about the killing of the schoolgirls. Even the Western media is a bit embarrassed by this juxtaposition of video games and massacres. And their use of technology deceives them, as we discussed earlier. Asymmetric warfare. A motorboat can undo a battleship, and AI can lead to all sorts of self-harm and may even be behind the alleged collision of the aircraft.
Yeah, exactly that. We're not buying that for 1 second, given that somebody from the Pentagon has already turned around and told us that, of course, they've misjudged this as well, haven't they? Thousands out on the streets, I mean hundreds of thousands, in support of Iran, including the original protesters who were protesting about America shorting the money supply, so their buck wasn't going too far, Peter. The original reason for the protest, long gone, and of course they come and joined in on that to then start killing people. It seems as though the Iranians are more together than they've ever been.
Well, indeed, and this was entirely predictable. The Iranians are a proud people. They don't lick anybody's boots. They may have misgivings about their rulers, but when their country is attacked, they close ranks. Trump has obviously been deeply shocked by the scenes of mass support for the Iranian government. He'd been told, obviously, by his Israeli advisors that the people of Iran would rise up. Well, yeah, they have risen up to show support for their leaders under fire, for their martyrs. So it's been a rude awakening for Trump, who's now changed his vocabulary about the Iranian people, who yesterday were such nice people, and now they're horrible people.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. Eric Jones is waiting to speak. Eric?
Yes, regarding the United States press and their here in the headlights look they've been giving while they've been giving out the news, I think they've actually come to the realization that we are the new Israel, and the slaughter in Gaza and everything that the Israeli press has so long covered up and sat and looked at, they've come to the realization that we have become them.
Yeah, Peter, people are waking up to the fact that Israel has literally captured not only the British Parliament, but massively the American Congress.
Yeah, it's striking now how the biblical narrative is being developed. Now that America is floundering, struggling, they reach for the basics. And that means the Bible, especially for these fundamentalist Christians who dominate much of the administration and who are many of Trump's followers. Not Trump himself, of course, who is about the most irreligious individual you could imagine, although he sometimes pretends for the sake of his Christian following. But this strand in American thinking is coming to the fore now. It's a sign of desperation. When they start to talk about the end times, you need to reach for your gun.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have Lee Williams and then Robert. Lee.
Okay, just a quick one. I mean, I only see it today. I've been very busy today, but was it Netanyahu that mentioned World War III, the nuclear and everything? I don't know what country he was in, maybe Germany.
What he basically said was, we're not going anywhere, but we're not going to reach the rapture by next Thursday. But we're going to become a nuclear superpower. We're going to become a superpower while we're waiting for Jesus to turn up, which is very, very troubling indeed. And of course, if you study Habad Lubavitch, and we've had somebody on who looks into this, Richard Willett, who's absolutely brilliant at this, looks into this very, very deeply. Of course, they believe that the end times, Jesus will come along, and therefore Armageddon needs to be given a helping hand. Quite worrying. Robert?
I haven't a question, but I have a thought.
Yes.
We hear of so many Israeli Defense Force servicemen committing suicide.
Yes.
And I do wonder how long before we hear of suicides amongst US Navy pilots who realize what they did when they let go the Tomahawks. I heard Colonel Wilkerson, mentioned today that he is an officer in a religious, a military religious freedom organization, which allows American troops to talk to each other, which is, I should presume, not so heavily censored as the chaps discussing things at the meal table. He said that it's off the charts.
Yes. I'm glad you're actually on, because I've got the updated figures for you that you were looking for. So in the last 2 years, Israeli soldiers or IDF soldiers, 917 have been killed in the last couple of years, through various means. But 714 IDF soldiers have committed suicide, obviously through things they've seen or things that have happened and everything else. So you're talking, basically, when you're looking at that, you're looking around 45% of IDF soldiers that are dead have actually, if you put the two figures together, to around about 45% of IDF soldiers have committed suicide, Peter. That is an alarming PTSD level.
I think the cases are a bit different, though, Warren. Those Israeli soldiers had been boots on the ground. They had seen close up the results of their own brutality.
Yeah.
It's a different thing, I suspect, for a pilot who no doubt feels detached somewhat from the mayhem he's creating down below. Those Israelis will have visions. It will be etched on their minds, the horrors that they've seen and for which they're responsible. I don't see this happening with very many American military, not at this point.
Yeah, because they're quite a distance away. And of course, when you have seen or you have taken a life close up, it does have an effect on you. There's no question that happens. B-52s, they're being moved. Let's have a little look. They're being moved from Lakenheath. They're all getting ready to saddle up and go and get involved in this, literally this debacle, Peter. Just how far are America going to go with this? If they're getting the B-52s and the B-2 bombers in, we're talking about even more carpet bombing here, aren't we?
Well, we're operating in a fog, aren't we? We really don't know. We can only speculate. But so far, the Americans have only said that they're going to do more of the same. I don't think carpet bombing is really an option for America. It would achieve very little and cast them in a very bad light. It would be an admission of failure. I don't think they're going to go down that same path that the Israelis are going down already in Gaza and to some extent in Lebanon. No, the Americans have said we're going to do just more of the same, but even more effectively, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah, absolutely. Robert wanted to jump back in again. Robert,
going back to the point I raised, I expect that we will see a great deal more discomfort, almost approaching mutiny in the American forces, which will force America to withdraw from the Gulf. Yeah. I don't think they can push ground troops onto Iran. And I think we are going to see a very changed America with the Democrats taking all the elections coming up this year.
Okay. On that score, just to let you know, by the way, there are currently, and we've had some lovely figures from our friends. There are currently 770 serving U.S. soldiers in or around the areas, the borders of Iraq, and of course, the borders of Iran, I should say. And there are plans for another 2,500 Marines to be deployed as an expeditionary force, which is not going to be too clever for them. And of course, there'll be many Marines coming back with them, of course. And of course, this is always pointed out by everybody that this is just, shall we say, a nice jaunt, an expeditionary force looking for oil normally. I know that Eric wants to jump in here. Eric?
Yeah, you said earlier today, and maybe I'm ignorant to world, stuff because you're a soldier and I'm not. However, you said, oh, nobody'd be foolish enough to hit Ramstein because Netanyahu was hiding out there. I mean, yeah. I'm like, why not? Does that automatically go nuclear or what, Warren?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Let's put it in this context. Ramstein is where America generally base themselves in Europe. That is the hub. That's where they have all meetings for the Ukrainian wars and everything else. So if anybody was to bomb that, the Americans would literally up the game. There certainly would be a massive explosion in that. And of course, it's the safest place for Netanyahu to be. And of course, our wonderful people who track all the planes and track all the movements of people. I mean, we were able to track Trump actually changing planes the other day. And we know that Netanyahu spent at least 5 days at Ramstein Air Force Base while it was all going on. So there we are. That's exactly why they won't bomb Ramstein Air Force Base. This would be an escalation off the charts. And I don't think, I think Iran's modus operandi is if they survive, if their government survives as it is, then they've won the war. Because eventually America have to do what they normally do. And hopefully, we'll ask Peter on this, but eventually Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, eventually the Americans go home. And they always have done. This is
well,
what
God help me. God help me. I hope a hair on somebody's head gets harmed just so somebody jumps in. I'm out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope nobody gets harmed whatsoever. Peter, your thoughts on this? As we've only got you for about another 10 minutes, and if you can stay longer, great. If you can't, then thank you so much for your time. Where do America go from here? I mean, what do they do here?
Yeah, well, I almost, but not quite, feel sorry for Trump. He's walked into a trap of Netanyahu's making, and there's no easy way out. Well, there is possibly no way out at all. All the exits, all the graceful exits are blocked.
Yeah.
All that's left are the disgraceful exits, where he says, well, we've achieved all our objectives, we're calling it a day. And the world knows that that is a lie. They have not achieved a single one of their stated objectives. Regime change, off the board. Denuclearize, we're not even hearing about it. Demilitarize Iran, not happening. That every day brings more evidence. Americans will have to walk away, leaving Iran still spitting fire. The only thing that remains to be negotiated is whether the Americans can persuade the Iranians for some kind of concession, not to humble them, not to humiliate them. And the Iranians are being careful. They're leaving open a sort of exit. They're not boasting, as I mentioned before, about their successes hitting American bases, nor are they boasting about their hits on Israel, which are even more devastating. Yes. There is one way that Trump could get out of jail without suffering quite so much. That's if he can say, Israel has asked me to stop.
Yes.
Israel has asked me to stop. And this may well come about if the Iranians unleash their hypersonic missiles on Israel, as happened just in June last year. The Israelis cried uncle and persuaded Trump to stop it and get them off the hook.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
A plausible way out.
Yeah, it gives him an off ramp. Lee Williams, very quickly.
I was just going to say very quickly, is Iran aware that they're going to have B-52 bombers, and have they got the capabilities of taking them out before they even get to their country?
Well, I think we're about to find out, Lee. Let's put it that way. We're about to find out. Certainly their air defense systems are working pretty well. I did want to get your thoughts on this, Peter, because I always think the guy talks fantastic sense. This is, of course, Tony Benn, way back in 2003, I believe this was.
War is an easy thing to talk about. There are not many people of the generation that remember it. But I was in London in the Blitz in 1940, living in the Millbank Tower, where I was born. Every morning I saw Dockland burning. 500 people were killed in Westminster one night by a landmine. It was terrifying. Aren't Arabs terrified? Aren't Iraqis terrified? Don't Arab and Iraqi women weep when their children die? Doesn't bombing strengthen their determination? What fools we are to live in a generation for which war is a computer game for our children and just an interesting little channel for news item. Every member of Parliament tonight who votes for the government motion will be consciously and deliberately accepting the responsibility for the deaths of innocent people if the war begins, as I fear it will.
There we are. So that was the wonderful Tony Benn, great orator. This is absolutely true, though, isn't it? I mean, it's been proven right time and time again, Peter.
Yes, and Tony Benn is George Galloway's model, and he's not wrong. Tony Benn got there first in calling out imperialism. If only we had such a figure today. All we have are pygmies. We have people sitting on the fence. Starmer thought that sitting on the fence would be his defense against being attacked, but he's being criticized from all sides. Farage has been all over the place. I think currently he's sounding skeptical about the war because he can see that the British people don't like it, and the British people are not stupid.
Yeah, and obviously they need to try and change everybody's mind about this. But this has been, ever since Harry Truman signed and he put this in, they call it the Truman Doctrine. When he was president, he turned around and said, literally signed a decree that said America were allowed to go and interfere in anybody else's country if they perceived it as a threat. And I find this staggering, but it's still going on today. And we have the complete nonsense, of course, where they turn around and they say that, you can buy, India can buy oil from Russia. We've signed a decree the Americans are saying we've signed a decree to say it's all right for India to buy Russian oil, as if it's got anything to do with them, Peter.
Well, this shows the level of American desperation. They are forced to take these extreme measures to protect international oil markets. It's another humiliation for them. Iran is rubbing their noses in it. They snap their fingers at the UN Charter, which expressly prohibits wars of aggression. The Americans are really, I don't think they've been through such a bad time since the dying days of the Vietnam War. And in some ways, this is worse.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to ask you, Peter, a couple more just before you go. I've got to ask you, it's a complete nonsense now, isn't it? I mean, you have a look at this. The amount of idiotic leaders we've got around the world. Have a quick listen to this.
In no case should an increase in the price of oil lead us to change our position with regard to Russia. That is the position of the G7 and, of course, that of France and Europe.
Now, I find this absolutely incredible to come from Macron, given that he's the fourth biggest purchaser under the table of Russian LNG and Russian oil.
Well, he's an Ukrainiac par excellence. And, I mean, even the Germans seem to be marginally more sensible about Iran and asking, well, when is this all going to be finished? But on the subject of Ukraine, they're all blinkered just the same. The Europeans, the British. You really need to bring on a psychologist to explain this. It's beyond me.
Yeah, it is quite staggering, isn't it? The other thing that I wanted to get your thoughts on. I'm going to play a video. I hope you've got a couple more minutes. I know we're running over a little more. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. We pieced this together. This is literally a 5-minute video with a bit of music tied in, and this is to do with Ukraine because we've got some figures, and I'll give them to you after you've watched the video. Have a look at this, Peter.
Days go by in silence. You say I'm slammed and post your life like I'm outside the violence. You step over the love I laid like it's debris on the floor. I raised you on my worn out back. You can't knock on my door. I'm still your father. So why do I feel ignored? I wasn't perfect, yeah, I said too much, but I never quit on us. When I'm gone, you'll chew this grief, every unread line, every missing dad beneath. When the casket sinks and hymns fade out, you'll hear the choir you kept feeding with doubt. You'll swear you love me, you'll shake and fold, but love has hands, why were yours so cold? I was here, I was trying, you just stopped replying. I got sick and you didn't hear, I got weak and you disappeared. I held my breath so you wouldn't see how hard it was to still be me. You never asked if I was alright, you never stayed another night. I waited till the porch light died and hope went numb inside. When I'm gone, you'll say you meant to show up more, to pay the debt. You'll replay the nights you let me break and taste the distance that you chose to make. You'll whisper love, maybe it was, but love is weight, it carries us. God forgives, I pray he can, because one day you'll face that man and he'll ask you calm and plain why you never came. When I'm gone, don't dress it up, don't call me hero, don't fill your cup, don't say my name if you stayed away while I burned in shame. I was here, I was alive, measuring mercy in borrowed time. When I'm gone, you'll finally see you didn't lose me, you left me. Crack raising you, they shook from nights I stayed. I buried what I wanted most, so you could be unafraid. I stood in storms without a coat, so you could sleep in peace. I swallowed panic, bit my tongue to keep your world at ease. Now I sit with empty chairs in the home I sweat. Pages past my life like it's a rumor, like I'm someone you should fade. I keep the door unlocked, you don't even come. Wow. Yeah, I messed things up, I wasn't easy to hold, but I never stopped coming back. I never let you go. When I'm gone and the dirt comes down, when goodbye turns around. You'll wish you called, you'll wish you ran. You'll count the chances you never had. You'll say you love me, you'll swear it's true. But love arrives and you never do. I was here, I was alive. You just thought I'd wait in time.
There we are. The wonderful gentleman singing that is in the comments if you want to go and have a look at that. This is to do with the deaths, of course, that have happened, shall we say, that have happened between the last week, literally the people that have been killed on the front line in Ukraine. We have the figures. There are another 8,754 that have been killed just this week. So that works out at around about the 1,000, around about 1,300. There are 2.2 million dead. That is still climbing. There are 700,000 that are injured. There is another 100,000 are in captivity and another 250,000 that have fled. So the Ukrainian army that's left is only around 450,000 soldiers. Peter, the senseless dying for a NATO dream that is never going to happen, which has turned into a NATO nightmare. Your thoughts on the Russia-Ukraine front, because now Ukraine are having to give their air defense systems to the Americans to transfer to the Middle East, along with South Korea and many others. But this is just going to hasten more Ukrainians dying, isn't it?
Well, that film, let me say first, that film was very powerful, very chilling, should be mandatory viewing for our pygmy politicians. They might wake up, though I'm not too optimistic. We can hope, perhaps, that this war with Iran will shake things up a little bit. And when it's all over, that Ukraine conflict will be seen in a different light. Maybe there'll be some sobering up, or perhaps more realistically, maybe America will say, well, enough of wars. We're not funding anymore the Ukrainian war. Trump's inclination obviously goes in that direction. So I wouldn't rule out something good coming out of the Iran conflict. It's so cataclysmic, and the scale of America's defeat is going to be so huge that there could be changes on Ukraine in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, I know you're a busy man. Thank you so much for your time today. Where can people find you and what are you up to next?
Simply go to the Workers' Party of Britain website, Google Workers' Party of Britain. It will pop up there. And if you can, go on Sunday to the big static protest against the imperialists being organized by our friends for Al-Quds.
Fantastic. So once again, Peter, thank you so much, and for everybody in the chat as well. It's always wonderful to have. That's the former ambassador to the Middle East, various places in the Middle East, and a very highly placed member of the Workers' Party of Great Britain. Peter, thank you once again for your time.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Peter.
Noble Gold. Real assets. Real value.